Hello, welcome to the Lately in JavaScript podcast. This is episode 19, and this is the second time that we record this on video, which is great because now we can see both our regular co-host, Michael Kimsal.
No, 19.
Sosins.
Yes. Yes, good morning, Arturs, or Sveiki.
It's already good evening here. But
I mean, La Bankar.
yeah, that's right.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Okay.
Hello. Arturs, it seems to be still daylight where you live. You are in Riga, right? No.
Well, almost.
Okay. Do you have a long day over there?
Yeah, it's gets dark on about 11 p.m. I guess.
Wow.
Well, today we're going to have a new thing to talk about related with the JavaScript Innovation Award that is going to get started, and that's why we have Arturs Sosins today to comment about, because what is being implemented is an idea that is inspired and something that Arturs suggested. But we'll get back to that later on the podcast, because first we're going to start with the regular batch of topics, things that are going on the JavaScript world. And I'm going to start talking about a bit about LLJS, which is a low-level JavaScript library.
I think it's Ladies Love JavaScript. Yeah. LLJS.
Oh, well.
That's a little 80s reference for you guys. I don't know, you're probably not old enough. Sorry.
Yeah.
And you're not American enough. I guess that's the other thing.
No, I have that limitation. I'm not American enough. Sorry.
LL Cool J. You guys don't remember LL Cool J? No, you probably don't.
Oh, that's old. I remember, but that's ancient. Well, anyhow, back to the topic of the LLJS library. This sounds a bit hard to me, but the idea is to offer C features, or should I say limitations.
You should do it.
Because it makes you do things in JavaScript as if you were programming in C, like declaring variables and memory allocation, and I suppose you also are forced to free all the allocated memory. And I'm not sure what is the purpose of this. Maybe to gain some speed in terms of execution, because if memory allocations are managed by the program, as opposed with the usual managed memory systems that use garbage collections and stuff. I was just wondering if this is a good idea or not. Michael, did you check into this? What were your impressions?
Well, anything that brings the fun of C-level programming and anything else, it gets a thumb up in my book.
Right.
Now, specifically, I've not actually tested this, so unfortunately, I don't have a lot to contribute on this. But
we did not enjoy the fun of
No.
C programming again.
No, I really, for as much stuff as I've done, I've never done any production C stuff. I've messed around with Hello World. I've messed around with the PHP internals a little bit to try to make some modifications, but very, very minor.
Yeah.
Just C is not my thing.
Yeah. And well, I developed a lot of C code in like 20 years ago. No,
Yeah.
more. Probably more.
21. That's more.
About that. And I cannot see if this being anything close to fun.
See,
And
the C
yeah.
programming in C gives me this sort of it's kind of a sad chord. Yeah, very sad. I feel sad when I think about C programming. So, and I'd like to get back to something where I could do a major chord and be happy again. Which PHP and JavaScript both give that to me, so I get happy there.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if this is going to be any fun for anybody, but I suppose it has its reasons. And Arturs, did you program C, at least in the past?
Yes, well, the first and second year in computer science university, we were learning only C basically. I haven't used it in production also, but well, I know the basics. But I completely agree with Michael that, well, I would never change JavaScript or PHP for C++. Actually, I read an article from authors of LLJS. What was the reason behind LLJS? It was more like an experiment to, well, to see what people could do with low level types in a high abstraction language. What would be possible? How would it be used and stuff like that? It was more like a research, like an experiment. I don't know how well it's working, but well, that was their main intention.
Yeah, well, I think when they force people to declare variable types, that is an opportunity for optimizers that compile code, JIT compilers, to generate more optimized code.
And maybe we'll get that in PHP at some point. I know it's not a PHP podcast here, but maybe we'll get that in PHP one day. Optional declaring types.
Well, when I started to program in PHP, I was quite happy that finally we had a sort of interpreted PHP, because at least in the beginning, most of the commands looked very much like C. Actually, many PHP functions have the same names as in the C libraries, the standard libraries, and I was quite happy that not have to go through the drag to have to declare all the variables.
Mm-hmm.
But probably this will make it possible to gain a few milliseconds for whatever is executing, at least for CPU-intensive tasks. And well, I don't know if this is going to be any useful to anybody else, but well, we'll see if somebody probably comes with some real-time applications for JavaScript that really require all the CPU power that the machine can provide. And well, moving on with the next topic, which is basically to comment about a library named NodeObjC, which basically is a ObjectiveC bridge for Node.js. Michael, you are
I have a Mac, so I have to talk about this one. Huh? Paul Diaz.
That was the agreement, so you can get paid.
You're just going to pay me in elephants, though, which I don't need.
You'll get a few more if you be enthusiastic.
No, just looking over here, it's something. It looks to me like this, and I am not an Objective-C person. My understanding was that people only did Objective-C on Macs. That's probably not true, but from a technical standpoint, you probably can run it multiple places. But from a practical standpoint, this is largely something I would imagine is only going to be used by people running Node.js on Mac that also want to bridge over and reuse some of their Objective-C stuff. Their README here is saying that it's similar to other bridges like JS Cocoa, which I would guess would go from Node.js to Cocoa bindings, which I'm assuming there are people that need this, but it strikes me as a niche, maybe not an experiment so much like the LLJS, but it's even though I have a Mac, not all Mac people do Objective-C. Maybe it should be the lesson that we take away from this.
Well, I'm not sure why this could be useful in practice. Not that I have anything against whoever uses Macs, but
yeah,
Macs,
you do.
No,
your anti-Mac bias has been obvious for 19 episodes.
Oh, sure. I'm just against expensive computers, and over here they are so expensive because they have to be imported.
But they're going to start making them in Brazil, so...
iPads, I think.
I think they'll probably start making Macs there at some point, too. Just a thought.
Well, that would be good because the taxes over here are,
it would,
stupidly high. And I'm sure there is plenty of demand. And anyway, what I was going to say is that Macs are not the typical environment on which you run servers, which is one of the most common environments on which Node.js is used.
Yeah.
And since this Objective-C bridge is probably to make it possible, easier to interface with native Mac resources, I was wondering if this would be anything useful.
That was the thing in the back of my head is that Apple right now has seemed to pull out of the server market. And there are people that use Macs for servers, public servers, heavy volume servers. This may be something that we see as people start to do hobbyist home automation stuff with their Mac Minis to be able to run code that I can do evented Node stuff, but tie it together with other Mac-specific things. It feels, for me, it's a solution that's in search of a problem that I don't have, but that doesn't mean that other people don't have it. It does feel very much like though that it is somewhat experimental, that it would be hobbyist. I can't think of a production use for this that would like a mass commercial market sort of thing. But
well, it seems to be more for desktop applications that for some reason the person that developed them would like to use Node.js. That's what I suppose it is good for, because they say that you can write an entire application with Cocoa or iOS GUI libraries. So other than that, I do not see this being much useful for real-world applications, being on the desktop or on the mobile or on the server side. Because as you said, I don't know if it was Apple that dropped the server market. I think it was the server market that dropped Apple.
Well,
I think it would be more accurate to say that Linux prevailed on that market, but because even Windows is kind of struggling to be relevant on the server. I mean, the public web server market.
Yeah.
Probably.
I mean, I knew people years ago that got Mac stuff, and they got Mac servers specifically because they were already a Mac shop. They could manage it. There were nice interfaces to manage things, and Apple has good profit margins on stuff. I don't see any major reason why they would say let's drop this, other than they decided they didn't want to. They just didn't want to deal with what was for them a small market. And yes, they didn't have a huge market share in the public market either. But
No.
I mean, this is semantics. Your point of, well, the market dropped Apple. There's always going to be a passionate subculture of Apple people that would get everything that they make. And there were people that were running their businesses on Mac servers, but Apple really seems to want to get out of that market right now. Maybe they'll come back with better offering in the future.
Yeah. Well, I think the market sort of said that you cannot beat the price of free, which is the cost of licenses for Linux machines. I mean in terms of the operating system, and somehow that also justifies why Microsoft Windows Server share has also seemed to be dropping. And I think we commented in the past that Nginx, the web server, its share has already raised above the Microsoft IS server, and so fans of Apple and Macs do not take this personally. my comment personally, I just meant that in practice that is what happened. Sort of Linux prevailed over there. Anyway, that was just a side comment. We're going to move on with another topic, which somehow relate to the JavaScript, which is basically this Adobe Brackets Web editor that allows you to I would say edit files for usual type of files that you need in web projects like HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. Did you guys took a look at this project by Adobe?
Arturs, why don't you take it first?
Well, actually, I was pretty interested in it. I like the idea of well, you guys covered this topic in one of the podcasts that was about editors where you can interact with the code. So I thought it might be something similar. I wanted to check it out, but I couldn't manage to install and run it. I tried to download it, but still didn't make it to really check out what it does.
Unfortunately, right now it says, hey, this isn't ready for general use. And so I guess their announcement is, hey, we're working on this, and developers come help us, but it doesn't seem to be quite ready for general use. The screenshots look neat, but I'm not sure if they're getting... I didn't get the impression that this would be a competitor for, what was that? Cloudnine, which was the hosted in the cloud sort of thing.
Yeah. Yes, that's something that I also recall. There is this web-based editor, although I'm not sure if it is more than JavaScript. I'm not sure if it is all the file types that it can edit. I do not recall. I remember it. I think it was a great idea to have a sort of web-based editor. I remember. I think it was by Leon Helmer, right? And I remember to read an article that they are explaining why rendering this kind of editors on canvas objects would be more efficient than trying to render it with DOM elements. And
efficient? Are you saying efficient, as in just speed, or a better experience?
Speed.
Yeah.
I think they meant speed, but I do not recall the exact details. It was sort of a long time ago when I read that article. Well, anyway, the idea here seems of Adobe seems to be the same approach, but I had the impression that it covered more types of web types of files like HTML and CSS. And well, this is a brand new project, so it's not a surprise it is probably not mature enough for use in production. But I think it is interesting anyway. Also interesting is the fact that they are open sourcing the project, so they made it available on GitHub.
I'll tell you what's interesting to me is that it's from Adobe. There's been loads of people that have worked on editors, worked on these sorts of things, but for Adobe to be as publicly experimenting with something like this as they are, really sends a signal about where, from my view, sends a signal about where they think they are and where they think they need to go to remain relevant as a tools company. And I may be getting a little over dramatic there, but that's because certainly they could do all this stuff internally and give trials to select users and whatnot. But for them to be going public with this and saying it's open, here you go, to me really signifies that they're thinking longer term that this is what they're probably going to have to do, at least in the web tools market.
Maybe they right. I agree. Maybe they have plans to offer cloud-based development environment on which you, rather than buying a package to install in your machine, you use a cloud-based solution on which your projects are hosted somewhere, and they offer things like version control tools and some other things that they may want to provide on a sort of freemium model on which the base plan is free, and if you want some add-ons you would need to pay extra. So that's my suspicion, that they want to move on to the cloud. If we can call it that. I hate calling everything the cloud because everybody's talking about that as if it is a new thing. Actually, to the cloud they mean to the web, and the web is old. And anyway, I think they did this because they are probably planning on it. I'm not sure. I mean, I have not been following what Adobe is doing. Maybe they are doing this already and I did not notice that. Maybe they already have a cloud editing project management stuff being offered, but since I do not use Adobe tools, I don't know. I have nothing against Adobe. I think Adobe did a lot of good things for the web in general. Some are sort of dying, like Flash.
Just not Linux. Just not Linux.
No, Linux is not their league. It's hard to compete with free. And anyway, well, we'll see if this is part of a greater plan from Adobe to offer cloud editing, and I think that's all I can remember. But I think it was a good pointer to to bring the fact that what's more relevant on this is that Adobe is doing it. Anyway, moving on with the podcast, now I'm going to talk a bit about a library that is interesting because it does something that looks fancy, at least on screen.
It is fancy. It's awesome. This is the physics PhysiJS library.
It's even hard to spell it, right?
Arturs, did you get a chance to try this? Does it work on your system?
I actually am an Opera user, and Opera doesn't support WebGL yet, so...
Oh.
You are from the elite of that using Opera.
Yeah, I guess I'm falling behind on this topic.
Well, maybe they'll catch up. It's just a shame you can't afford Firefox over there in Latvia. Oh, that's too bad. The exchange rate just must not be very good. For those of you who can shell out and afford to upgrade to the Firefox browser, if you look at the PhysiJS demos, I am not one to understand all the complex math stuff. Some of the libraries that Arturs has done over the years, the shadows and all that, it's just the Gorodki thing, all that. I'm learning as I get older. I'm not an algorithm or a math kind of anything that has more than a plus or a minus in it. It kind of confuses me. But looking at the demos for PhysiJS, they're pretty awesome. Now that said, let me come over here and let me reload this and do a screen share so you guys can see it. Google Talk screen share.
Yeah, I was trying to do that, but
here we go.
It's so slow on my machine that...
Can you see this? Now, tell me when you see this. Okay. This is click and drag blocks. So I can click that and move it over. I can click this and move it over. Now, not much is happening there, but I can click that and move it over. Now, they drop. Bear in mind, I'm running a Firefox nightly. You can see this window has probably 25 tabs open. Plus, also in this nightly, I'm doing my share hangout with you. So, I am pegged at, I'm using a couple CPUs here. I'm using a lot of stuff. But as I pull things out the bottom, you can slowly see that it's going to start to fall.
Yeah.
With real physics. They have a couple other demos which to me weren't as easily, they weren't as impressive to me. This has I can make stuff break. Yeah. There we go. I like breaking things. But that in and of itself, for me, is enough to say, that's really cool. And if you need to do 3D physical stuff, this would certainly be something to look at. Now, there's like the Unity engine and some of the other 3D libraries out there have physics stuff in them. This is certainly not the first one out there, but just having good...
This is on the browser.
Yeah, but just having good, cool demos that can let you break stuff, to me, is enough to say, hey, give it a look.
Yeah.
That was pretty scary, wasn't it? Going from the screenshot right to me.
Yeah, that was a fancy physics animation to fade a few bricks into Michael Kimsal. And anyway, I think this just shows the maturity of the 3D capabilities of the browsers.
Except Opera.
I tried to run it on here. Yeah, I tried to run it here on Chrome. I'm not sure which revision this one is, but it is still very slow, which means there is plenty of room for optimization. And anyway, this is a library that is already on top of the 3 library. For generating 3D scenes, and it just adds some physics applying physics laws to the 3D blocks, and this I had Arturs will also comment on something else that he added some physics, but we'll get back to that anyway. This library PhysiJS is just a demo of something interesting that we'll probably be looking more and more in the future. Maybe soon we have a full version of Wolfstein 3D in the browser, just to catch up the 20 years of delay of the browsers relative to the desktop applications, games. But well, we'll see where this is going. More and more, I suspect that we'll be getting back to these 3D based applications. Now moving on with our podcast, it seems that Douglas Crockford, now that he left Yahoo, right? He wasn't at Yahoo, right?
Yeah.
For PayPal.
Yeah.
Maybe
now at PayPal.
He's no longer under the Yahoo stress, and focus on new interesting tools for JavaScript, as opposed to wasting time on semicolon discussions, and released this JSCheck library. Michael, did you try this library? I think
I've not tried it. I've been waiting on. It gets to JS Mag. We have a piece. The timing is such that we may not get it for June. We may get it for July, but something that's going to go into JSCheck in a little bit more depth and in a tutorialized way. So I was kind of hoping I'd have before the podcast today, and I didn't have it. But I was almost wondering if the idea behind JSCheck here, reading it, and I'll do a screen share. How's that? Screen share. Oh, you've got it up too. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but
so
when you talk, it only shows your screen.
Well, we'll just leave yours up for now then. JSCheck is a testing tool for JavaScript. You want me to bring mine up?
You can share it, it would be better.
Okay. I didn't want to say that, but that's how it goes. Testing tool for JavaScript, inspired by QuickCheck. Specification-driven testing tool. I had first thought that this was more a case of testing, more like a lint tool, and my first thought was, oh, this is a linting sort of thing that was a reaction to the whole semicolon thing from a month ago. It doesn't seem to be that that's what it is. It looks like it's more of a generalized testing tool. And the interesting thing here is that from my, it talks about you give predicates and make claims to say this is going to do something, which is really at the heart of a lot of the XUnit, PHP unit, JSUnit, and so on. But those have always, inspired from JUnit from a decade plus ago, those have always been oriented around class and object manipulation and testing. Let me test this class. And my interpretation here is that this is basically a testing way, or a way of letting you test things that aren't classes. Now, I may be misreading this or reading it at too basic a level, but was that your interpretation, either of you, Arturs or Manuel?
Well, I did not try this. Just read what is described, and for me, it also suggested to be yet another lint tool, but which would not make sense because Douglas Crockford already had his JS lint tool, and it would be sort of redundant. And then looking closer at the page of the project, it seems that it's actually generating random test cases to figure if things are working as expected. I don't know how this would work in practice, but it seems interesting. It seems different, a different approach of the usual testing methods, which are usually based on known cases. Actually, in practice, a lot of people say that they do testing, but they will only do after the fact testing, which is they only produce tests after they figure they have bugs. So they create tests to figure if the bugs are still there or not. And this is not very proactive, because you want to prevent bugs rather than just fixing them. Fixing is important, it's necessary, but it would be even better if you could prevent bugs before they can happen. Now, how this happens in practice, how useful this can be, I'm not sure. And my bad for not having had time to test this in practice, but I think it looks interesting. Arturs, do you have an opinion on this?
Well, I guess, well, at least in my opinion, this kind of tools are more like could be suitable for regression testing. You know, when you are creating a code, okay, you write some test cases, and every time you make a change, you can retest them again. But I don't know if the JSCheck is suitable for that or not.
Yeah, I think we need to test the test tool to reach a conclusion, right? So we don't wonder too much about what these things are. Anyway, I think it is interesting. I confess that doing tests, at least for me, it's not the funniest thing in the world. But I think we all reckon that it's necessary, even if it's just after the fact testing, which is the building tests to demonstrate if the bugs are there or not. But I also reckon that it's not ideal. Anyway, maybe we can get back to this new testing JavaScript checking tool later. Probably maybe we invite a person that is more of a fan of testing. And as I said, I'm probably not the best person on that. Anyway, moving on with our podcast. We're almost getting close to our regular section on which we comment on the latest classes on the site. But first, I would like to comment on actually an important topic of JS classes, and hopefully to the JavaScript community as a whole, which is the plan to start the JavaScript Innovation Award initiative. For those not familiar, this is basically the JavaScript counterpart of the PHP Programming Innovation Award that was started in the PHP Classes Site in 2004. And basically the idea was to encourage developers to share components that do more useful things by addressing problems that need specific solutions, as opposed to yet another component to solve the same problems that everybody else has solved, like yet another MVC framework, or yet another forms validation framework, or something else. So in 2004, in the PHP Classes Site, I started this initiative, which basically consists in organizing a monthly contest on which all the packages, all the classes published in the previous month in the PHP Classes Site that do something innovative, which can be either implementing something that was never done before, or at least an innovative approach to an old problem that has been solved with different approaches. And what I can say is that given all these years during which the Innovation Award has been running on the PHP Classes Site, it was it gave great results. Many innovative components were submitted, and for that the authors that submitted those components got additional recognition and attention for their work, as well some nice prizes. The idea of the initiative is to provide as a sort of reward also prizes from sponsors, which are usually companies that provide develop tools and products that are of interest of the PHP developers in general. And now the idea here is to start that initiative also in the JavaScript world, actually in the JS Classes Site, by also distinguishing packages, objects, JavaScript components that do something innovative in the same sense as the PHP Programming Innovation Award, but focusing on JavaScript components. Well, this initiative was not started from the beginning of the site because the site had to, in the beginning, since it had not much components, practically everything that was submitted to the site would be innovative. And in that case, the components submitted to the site would not be distinguished for whatever they do different, because everything would be innovative. And the idea is to distinguish this. So actually, I'll be some time ago I comment about this problem with Arturs of not being able to distinguish work of developers that submit to the site, because everything would be innovative. But at a certain point, the initiative would have to be started. It's not easy to determine a good point when it would be ideal to start, but talking with Arturs, we figured that maybe could set a goal like reaching 200 components, and once we get there, probably not all components will be so innovative, and those that are innovative, we could get those that are innovative a good distinction and recognition to their authors. And that's all this initiative got started in the JS Classes Site. We talk. Arturs also gave a suggestion, which would be to show a sort of progress bar on which we would have, I would say, an idea, give the users an idea of how many packages are remaining to reach the goal of on which we would start the actual Innovation Award. This means that what was defined is that until the site gets 200 packages, 200 components, the Innovation Award will not start. But if the Innovation Award did not start, probably some authors would be holding back their contributions, and that will lead to a sort of chicken and egg problem. And so, talking with Arturs, it was decided to be good to show a progress bar that I think you can see it all on the screen, which basically shows a percentage of how many packages are submitted relatively to the goal of 200 packages, and how many packages are remaining to reach that goal. And this was announced early this week, and you already have some packages, namely from also Arturs, that after a brief period of rest, during which he was not submitting much packages, probably had some work. There are some new packages, and I think the things are ramping up, although did not pass a lot of time since it was started. Arturs, is this coming how you would expect? What are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, well, you've heard Manuel's side of story. From my side, I could tell it was the contest is a result of like a compromise of me trying to persuade Manuel to start an innovation awards for JS classes. You know, how many more components should I write? There are already 30 plus plus. Or
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope there will be a competition. I am already started to making more components. There are 2 prototypes and at least 5-10 more ideas. What can I do? So hopefully others will join, and we could push this milestone to 200 packages and finally start JS Classes Innovation Award, like it is on the PHP classes.
Yeah, that's the expectation. And well, other than that, all this initiative is intended to be a sort of stimulus for authors to contribute in a fun way, because they can see how far they are from reaching the goal, and at the same time this is will be a collective goal, because if each developer submits an interesting package to the site, it's one step closer to the to reach the goal. And for authors, obviously reaching this goal, which probably is not too high, hopefully currently there are 64 remaining packages to reach the goal. Even for Arturs, that is a very frequent contributor, it's probably a very high goal, but if people join forces and submit enough components from each other, they will be able to reach the goal collectively, thanks to the effort of everybody. And I also would like to make clear that when people participate in a site like this, they are not doing a favor to the site. They are actually contributing, actually going through a way that gets them more exposure to their work. But the suggestion of Arturs to make this work even better did not stop there. actually, I was afraid that if I encourage authors to send packages in quantity, I'll probably start getting a lot of rubbish packages, packages that do very simple things that are not so useful. So to sort of preventing that from happening, there is an additional prize that is given to authors that submit more notable packages until the award the award goal is reached. And as you probably may see on screen now, there is on the award page, there is below the progress bar, there is a ranking of the top authors that have submitted more notable packages.
And look who's number one.
For
look
those,
yeah.
yeah.
Only because it's an alphabet.
Yeah. Well, actually, this is even not sorted by the sorted by the author name. Anyway, the idea here is to distinguish authors that submit more notable packages. And notable packages are not necessarily innovative. They are just packages that do something that is not too trivial, not too simple. And even though for purposes of reaching the goal, any new package will count for getting the additional recognition and prize. Only the notable packages count. And notable packages are packages that I will be nominating, and authors will get an email when their packages are distinguished as notable. So they also feel the encouragement to keep contributing more notable packages. And other than that, as I mentioned, there will be a prize, which is a bit odd for those that are just from the JavaScript world. But for now, that is all that I could come out. Actually, this was an idea of Arturs to provide an additional prize for those that submit more innovative packages, and the prize will be an elephant mascot of the PHP Classes Site, which is somehow based on the original. Well, it's not based, but it's very similar to the original elephant from the Vincent Pontier, which is commonly used as mascot of PHP. This is the odd part, is that being this a JavaScript site, not everybody will necessarily also be PHP developer or be interested. But the problem that I had to face is that, as far as I know, there is no JavaScript mascot, right? And
I guess
do you
not.
guys have? I think
I'm not aware of one. I mean, I could be one if you'd like.
Oh, that would be a cool idea. Anyway, yeah, this prize it is a plush toy that is actually still being produced. We are still in tests. You can see on the screen that this is just an idea of a final version. It's getting closer. It had been iterating to make it more faithful to the PHP Classes Site logo designed by Ifat Hamid, and the idea is to hopefully provide this prize as a reward to the authors that that contribute more notable packages and help reaching the goal of this award. Actually, the goal of the award itself is to distinguish innovative packages, but as I explained, it will only be started. Well, I don't know exactly when. Hopefully, if we start getting new contributions at a good pace, probably we get there sooner rather than later. Eventually, still in 2011, before the world ends, whatever.
2012, end of 2012.
Right. Well, other than that, I just like to a quick question to Michael, because he had not yet had time to contribute to the JS Classes Site. I wonder what is your opinion about this initiative in terms of, do you think it will work somehow? It will encourage developers to submit more interesting JavaScript components? What do you think?
That broke up. Was that for Arturs or me?
Yeah, so it was for you because it was sort of.
I think the elephant will get people, maybe, but it's a neat initiative. The elephant is a neat initiative, just to say let's try to make something that is a bit unique to the JavaScript community, if not the JS classes community. I mean, it's kind of both right now. I certainly don't think it'll hurt, and really, with 64 more to go, if you can get the pace that you've had some up and down months over the past few months,
right.
But I think realistically you could get that before the end of this year. And if the elephant may help to get that maybe by September.
Yeah. Well, so I also like to emphasize that I think at least I'll give I'll give away 5 elephants. It's not going just to the main winner, or else somebody probably upset because I suspect it will be hard to compete with Arturs, which is already the top contributor. Although in the recent weeks, at least in the weekly chart, you have been lagging. Somebody already passed you, but now with this initiative, we hope you can get back. But it also encourages others to contribute, and I'm sure there are several other people that are pretty capable of coming with many components, not just a few.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, sure.
Please.
Yeah. Well, just wanted to emphasize that I don't know if everyone knows, but in PHP classes you need to submit more innovative classes or earn points in the top, and then in the end of the year, if you collected enough points and you're the first one, only then you get that elephant. So it's exclusive, pretty. And as I understood, this is a new design that none of PHP developers have them yet, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. I don't think I have mentioned it here in this podcast, but because it's not related to PHP, but since many PHP developers are also JavaScript developers and be interested to participate, what I would like to mention is that the original elephant used to be produced by a company in France, but I think they were sold to another company, and the people that were left in the company are not able to justify the time they used to spend on taking care of all the process of producing the elephants and shipping them, because I think it's not the focus of the company. And originally Damien Segui used to be the person in charge, but he moved to another company, I think in China or something, and he used to be sort of, well, if Vincent Pontier was to be the father of the elephant, maybe it would be fair to call Damien Segui the mother, and, because he really tried hard, dedicate a lot of time to produce these elephants, and I know it's not easy because I've been trying to produce them myself, finding companies that actually do this stuff and do it well. As I think I mentioned that this, I think I did not mention that this this drawing of the elephant is actually the first, actually the fourth attempt to do a test, something that is close enough to the original drawing of Ifat Amit, and it takes a lot of time and patience to tell people that are working on the producing these plush toys to do it right, and it takes a lot of time and dedication, and hopefully in the end it will pay with a return, the encouragement that will provide to other authors to earn this prize. Well, I don't know, this is the fourth iteration. Arturs, do you think that is already faithful enough to the original?
Yeah, well, I guess it looks pretty great. Too bad we can see it in real life, so you could rotate it around the camera or something. But from the image, yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, I did not see it either, because it is produced by a company that is a bit far away. Although it's still in Brazil, it's a bit far away from where I live. So they only send me pictures like those that I've shown, but I think you can get a good idea. And well, this is the basic message that I want to give with this section here, on which we just trying to encourage more authors to send more contributions. And other than that, I think it's time to move on to one of our final regular sections, on which we comment on the latest JavaScript packages published in the JS Classes Site, and I think we can start precisely by well, we have a few, like about 5 since the last ones that we commented, and I don't know if you can get to see this. I'm trying to share the right screen.
Should I?
Yeah,
should I go?
Well, actually, I was thinking about starting with Arturs, because
Okay.
he's our guest.
That's fine.
And I don't know if you can share your own screen, because I was having an hard time here to share the right window. Arturs, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah. Yes. I don't know if you see anything. I just share the screen. Try to share it.
It's the demo of the component. So this.
It's just a simple demo.
Yeah.
So it was.
This is the Gravity one, right?
Michael, are you up to breaking some more stuff?
I'll watch you break stuff.
I don't know how good it will run. This is a pretty slow machine where I'm sitting now, but well, the basic idea is that you apply physics to HTML elements. I don't know. Well, that goes pretty bad. You might have seen a Google Gravity example. Have you seen it?
Yes, yes. Animate HTML page and limits using all the. Okay, I get it. I get it.
So, well, it's something similar. It just uses a box2d library, and I wrote a wrapper for it just to apply to HTML and using well, CSS transformation and matrix transformation matrix for Internet Explorer, and well, this is how it goes. You can also, I know it's pretty slow here. I don't know if you can demonstrate it, but well, as you can see.
Well, I bet if we all used Opera, it would be better.
Well, it's a Chrome right now. I just downloaded Chrome, just to try PhysiJS, and well, it ran okay, but it seems it's slow for this one. I guess that my machine is pretty slow right now.
But I bet it's fine on Opera.
No, well, actually not, but well, it's manageable.
Yeah. Well, this is based on Box 2D web version, right? The JavaScript library, right?
Yes.
So you basically use that library to apply some physics to the elements.
Yeah, I did an article before for JSMac that was about animating, drawing animations on canvas. Well, that is actually what Box2D Web is meant for drawing animations on canvas. I just created a wrapper, did some calculations to try to apply them to HTML elements, and well, it worked. So I thought I could submit it.
Cool.
And this one is from Arturs Sosins from Latvia, right?
Yes.
Well, that's quite an interesting effect. But moving on, Michael, now it's your turn. Which packages you would like to highlight this month?
I'll need about 10 seconds, so please hold.
You need to
because I can't shut off the phone.
There's a countdown. Let me see. Also can share the screen. This time, for some reason, my came out blank.
Hello, I'm back.
Okay.
It was a case of I can't reach the phone, and it blasts out whoever's leaving a message. So I had to just shut my mic off for a moment so that you didn't hear that rather personal diatribe from somebody. So there was two things that are related that I was going to screen share on. Not Gravity. These are two different classes, LZF, and then the other one is SCSU.
SCSU.
These are sort of two sides of the same coin, but I've actually played with the LZF one. These are ways of compressing and decompressing data with the LZF algorithm, and SCSU is to encode and decode Unicode strings with SCSU. But what's interesting here is if we actually go look at, where did it go? README. I think it was in the README. Yeah. There's an example of using this over at JavaScript Archiver. So you don't necessarily have to go install the whole thing. You can choose here, choose a file, and it will, this is actually kind of interesting, if I can find it. Where is, of course I can't find what I wanted to do.
Yeah, Murphy's Law.
Impress.js, yeah, okay. So I wanted to take Impress.js. If we look here, where is it? Of course, it's not actually going to show me how big it is. This is somewhere around a 35K file or so, Impress.js. Well, I can put this up, 99493, make archive, and it will give me. It's compressed this whole thing down into a 19K file from a 32, so it's done it. But what we see here, and actually I don't need to download it because I already have it here. Let me share my other window, screen share, and let me share this. What this gave me is downloads Impress. It gives me Impress JSA, which does an eval and extracts with the JSA. This is using the LZF algorithm that's part of the class was uploaded. It actually, so it's given me Impress.js self compacted in base 64, but I'm still getting a 30-40% reduction in the actual size of the file.
Yeah.
So I thought it was kind of interesting because it's a way to compress and then automatically uncompress or self-uncompress files, JavaScript, actual JavaScript executable files.
So it's like a packer.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for, packer. Yes. So and the SCSU is a similar thing just for Unicode strings, but those are both from. Let me get the name right. That is, both of these are from Alexei Znaev. Здравствуйте, Alexei. There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Maybe Arturs can spell the name more closer to the original.
Alexei Znaev.
Znaev. Okay, that's what I said.
With the proper accent.
I said it pretty close, I have to say.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Spasibo.
Because you're an expert in foreign languages.
C. No, not C, the language. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so those were the two side by side from Alexei that I thought were interesting.
Yeah, the other one, SCSU, is more, well, it's not so much specifically about compression, but rather to make the encoding more suitable, more compressible from what I could get, which is these kind of components are those that would be considered innovative in the JS Classes Site. Once the JavaScript Innovation Award is started, because they do something that is innovative, and also in practice it would also be notable because it does something that is useful, other than being unusual. As you can see, and you demonstrated it quite well, it reduces the size of the packages. Let me see. Now it's my turn. I wanted to comment of a couple of classes. Let's see if my screen sharing is working now. Well, I think so. Well, I think you can see it now. Basically, this is I'm looking now at jQuery PHP. This is also an interesting component by Jason Gerfin from United States. He already contributed a component before. I'm not sure if we comment about it. Basically, to store data from form values on the browser side, eventually to reuse them later, for instance in offline applications on which maybe without internet connectivity we wouldn't be able to save the data to the server. So it uses the browser storage containers, all sorts of containers like sessions and I mean browser side sessions or cookies or local storage. And this component, this new, it made it jQuery plugin, but I think it did not even need to be a jQuery plugin, because it seems to only use jQuery just to traverse the forms inputs and get their values. but the actual functionality of this class is to use public key encryption, RSA, to encrypt data from the form values. I think the idea is to provide additional protection, because if you store values of forms in the browser side in some browser storage container, if somebody steals your machine, you will be able probably to access sensitive information. So with this possibility to use encryption, I think the data will be better protected, and I think this shows yet another very mature use of the JavaScript code to do something that is not trivial, which is to apply the RSA public key encryption algorithms to encrypt, decrypt, sign, and verify data that we used to see on the old days. We would only see it in programs written in C, because it would be a CPU intensive task to encrypt all the data. Well, later we also seen it in PHP, but PHP, all that is done with an extension which is which uses a C library as well. So it's still all in C, but in this case it is all done in JavaScript. And given the advancements of the advances of the current browsers, it certainly gives you a new useful way to take advantage of JavaScript without being too slow to implement this kind of functionality. So kudos to Jason for also yet another great component, and this component was just submitted right after the Innovation Award challenge was started, and so his package was already considered notable. That's why Jason is also featuring in the top notable package authors ranking. And another component that also to comment, I'm trying to open the right window here. I think you all can see with if you are not distracted with Michael glasses. This is another component with from Ansel Hartman, which is already a regular contributor. And actually, I also like to mention as a side comment that Ansel has been submitting a few articles to the blog, and in this case, since they will be featured in the JS Classes Site blog, they need to be reviewed. But once they are reviewed, they will be published soon. And Ansel, in this case, contributed a component, in this case named CDA, Cross-Domain Ajax, which basically allows you to send, well, not exactly Ajax requests, I mean XML HTTP requests, but rather requests to the server to retrieve certain resources on the background, thus without reloading the page. So the effect would be similar to using Ajax requests, and basically this can be useful to send requests to a server that may be in a different domain. That's why I called cross-domain Ajax. So without requiring all those permissions that are now supported in the latest standards of the APIs and the web. I'm not sure. I think it's XML HTTP request 2 that provides support to sending some headers to allow cross-domain AJAX requests. But in this case, it is not necessary, because what it does is basically to create a script element on the page and use that to send a request to a given server to retrieve some JavaScript code that will be executed and probably return some data or do something useful. So again, kudos to Ansel for his contribution.
And I'd like to say something to Hansel too. Grüezi. Yeah, he'll know what that means. He'll know.
Is that German?
He'll know. It's just between me and him.
Okay.
Grüezi.
Maybe you can come to the podcast in a later edition and reply to you personally, whatever that means. Okay, and with this we conclude this section of the podcast on which you comment the latest components. And now with the Innovation Award initiative, at least this challenge phase, which is not already the actual Innovation Award initiative, we can encourage more and more authors to submit more new components that we will certainly comment on future episodes of the podcast. And finally, moving on to our last section, on which our special rockstar co-host Michael Kimsal will exhibit his cool glasses and is that a mustache? Or
maybe I just had some chocolate milk.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
You did not find a napkin to clean that.
It won't come on.
Well, seriously, are you ready to comment on the upcoming topics?
Well, we've got a few things, and as always, things are always kind of up in the air. Mike Schwartz is going to continue talking about his development of Silk.js, server-side JavaScript server that he's been working on. This month he's going to talk about session handling. We may have something from Callum McRae this month, specifically on JSCheck. That's what I was talking about before. We have a piece on PhoneGap coming up. We possibly have a couple pieces on, or I should say, a piece on timers and creating timers and doing timing work in JavaScript. And likely we're going to have a piece on dynamic interface images that are dynamic interfaces with images that move around. So there's all these are in the works right now, or in the pipeline, depending on the writers and the editors. Some of these may be this month, some of these may be next month. It's just that, like, if we were doing this a week from now, I would have a much better idea of exactly what we'd have, but we're kind of early in the month this month.
Yeah, that's true.
And we may have something from Arturs in the next month or two, continuing on Titanium, perhaps.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe.
You know what? It would have sounded better with a guitar accompaniment.
You know.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we're gonna have some JavaScript, some C programming, some PHP, and some JavaScript. Back to JavaScript again, and then we're gonna get a little sad, and then back to happy, like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh man.
That's going to be the bonus disc in the printed issues of JS Mag next month. So.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm lying.
For all that want to subscribe to the magazine, they can go to jsmag.com as usual. And man, you almost poked yourself in the eye.
Well, I got the glasses to protect me. The glasses will cover that. There's no problem there.
Well, that's the problem, because those glasses always appear in the front. So it looks like you've been poking yourself.
Don't. Yeah. They'll get better.
Yeah.
So on that note, yes,
okay.
that's what's potentially coming up. Anybody that would care to contribute as Arturs and others have done, reach out to me at michael@jsmag.com or just go to the website and click contact.
And obviously, those that want to become rich, that's also a way to go because you pay for your.
Well, I think Arturs would say you're not going to get rich doing this, but hopefully it helps.
Less poor.
I can tell you one thing, Michael, that you don't know yet.
What?
Well, practically, you have bought me a Mac.
There you go. Really? Okay.
Yeah.
How many pieces have you done?
You don't remember.
Goodness. Okay. Well, look at that. You write for JS Mag and you can buy yourself a Mac. That's awesome.
That should be your slogan, you know?
Yes.
Motto. Yeah.
Is that a Mac from China? Like
No.
a cheaper one?
Hopefully from USA.
Look at that. They don't have to pay all that import tax like in Brazil.
Right. Oh.
I think this does come.
I need to go to Latvia to get a cheaper one.
Yeah.
Over here, it's like double the price.
No, exactly. Here in Latvia, it's also double the price that they pay in USA, so it doesn't matter.
Well, I'm going to play us out. I think we're at the end of the podcast.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. What should I play?
Well, play something while I finish the podcast. Just commenting that other than contributing more and sending articles to JS Mag as well, if you have an interesting JavaScript project, now that we can benefit of these sophisticated resources of the Google Hangouts, you can have you on screen and you will be famous and you can wave to your mother, "Mommy, I'm on TV," and you can show your JavaScript projects here. Just write to the site address, and you can schedule your presence in the upcoming podcasts. Your projects do not have necessarily to be some package published in the JS Classes Site. It can be something else, as long as it is JavaScript related. And other than that, hope to see you all next month and comment more interesting stuff on JavaScript. So on my part, that is all for now. Bye.
Yeah. I suck. That's horrible. But
imagine if you did not suck.
Yeah. I think I'm still better than you though. I'm pointing at Manuel, not you.
That's for sure.
Yes.
That's for sure. Okay. That's all for now.
Okay. Bye bye, guys.
Bye bye.